I am a fan of the Club World Cup. I have made that known, and I've thoroughly enjoyed all the matchups this tournament, whether it be the beatdowns or the close games, the South American teams giving trouble to the European teams. I've been here for it. I've been a fan of it. So credit to FIFA. Credit where credit is due, right? However, we need to get a little more serious. It's been fun. It's been this and this. It's been that. We've been vibing to the tournament. Now it's time to get a little more serious. The quarterfinals. We're at the part of the tournament where we're at the part of the tournament that everyone has been waiting for. The meat of the knockout stages, and it starts with the quarterfinals. We're going to break down every single game, give my predictions, and then kind of do a little prediction how I think the tournament will end based off of the quarterfinals right now. But the bulk of this video will be breaking down the actual quarterfinal matches and what I think is going to happen, who I think is going to win. So, it's difficult. It's difficult. Now, I'm no wizard. I'm no football god, but I don't know. For me, it might seem a little straightforward, even given what we've seen at this Club World Cup so far. My picks might be a little bit basic, in all honesty, but I think this is where the road for some of these South American teams will come to an end after these quarterfinal ties. On one side of the bracket, you have 3 out of 4 teams not from Europe. You have this side of the bracket where Chelsea, Palmeras, Fluminense, and Al Hilal are on. And on the other side of the bracket, you have a full European bracket: PSG, Bayern, Real Madrid, Dortmund, some of the biggest teams in Europe on the other side. So at least one European team will be in the Club World Cup final for sure. And on the other side of the bracket, there is a big chance for a non-European team to make it to the final. So without further ado, I won't waste any more time. Let's get into it. I have my Google Doc here, my beautiful Google Doc. Where have you seen Google Docs work like this, guys? Let's be honest. Where have you seen it work like this? But I'm going to be honest. I stole this off someone from YouTube, so I won't take too much credit. Anyway, let's start with Chelsea versus Palmeiras. Let's start with the more interesting side for me, which is the side with the non-European teams. So you have Chelsea versus Palmeiras. People are high on Palmeiras and have expressed how impressed they've been with them, with the Brazilian side. But for me, they've been good. Credit to them for making it to the quarterfinals. From what I've seen and what I've seen them do against other teams, what I've seen other teams do against them, even in the games where they win, I see them getting away with a lot of things. I see them scraping by in the defense. I just think if they're going to play like that, listen, the Palmeiras' defense has actually been, in my opinion, the more impressive side of their game at the tournament. I think their attack, even though they've scored some goals here or there, their attack has honestly been underwhelming. I mean, Esteval, very young, highly touted Brazilian winger. I'm not putting too much pressure on him. He's been all right. When he has started this tournament, Vitor Roque, he's been trash. So, honestly, the defensive side of Palmeiras' game has been more impressive for me at this tournament. And even saying that, they have gone away with teams missing big chances against them. I mean, in that Botafogo game, I do think the better team went through at the end of the day in Palmeiras, but Botafogo had 1 or 2 chances where I'm just like, how did they not score? How are Palmeiras coming away from this game with a clean sheet? So they've been a little lucky not to concede more goals up until this point. I just think if they're going to show up, play the way they've been playing, yes, Chelsea is a team that got smacked up by Flamengo 3-1 in the group stages. I remember, don't get me wrong. I don't have short-term memory, but given their performance last game against Benfica, the adversity they went through with the game stoppage, coming back, Benfica late equalizer, and then just finishing the game off, having no doubts about their deserved victory against Benfica 4-1 on the night. I just think Chelsea will be too strong here for Palmeiras. I understand some of Chelsea's attackers are bums. Guys like Neto, Nicolas Jackson, these guys miss chances. They are not clinical at all. I just think Chelsea, this is a big bump up in terms of quality for Palmeiras. Because if you look at their road to the quarterfinal, Inter Miami, Porto, Al Ahly, Botafogo. Chelsea is a massive step up from all of those teams. So I think it's going to be a little too much for Palmeiras here. I think this will be the end of the road for them. So I'm going to pick Chelsea to go through to the semifinals of the Club World Cup. Should I give a score prediction? Yeah, I'll give a score prediction. I don't know, maybe like a 3-1. 3-1 type of deal for Chelsea against Palmeiras. Into the semifinal, Chelsea go in Palmeiras. I will see you guys on your flight to Brazil. Anyway, on to the next game. Al Hilal versus Fluminense. Well, I've always called it Fluminense. I feel like Brazilian people will be like, no, dumbass, it's Fluminense. Nench this, nench that. Nuno Mensch, my ass. Al Hilal versus, did I say Al Ahly? I feel like I might have said Al Ahly. Al Hilal. Coming up against Fluminense. Now, Al Hilal coming off a huge win against Manchester City. Probably the biggest most historic win against the most high quality opponent a team from Asia has ever had. With high stakes, with them actually trying. Man City tried against Al Hilal. And yes, you could bring up the fact that if it wasn't for Yassine Bounou, Man City would have been up by should have been up 5-0 at halftime. I understand that take, and it's a valid take. I mean, they missed so many chances. Bruno was pulling off Superman saves, especially the one where he's on the ground and at full stretch to stop the point-blank shot in front of his goal. But I feel like when you have a win like that, there's no way you could lose the next game, right? There's just no way. The momentum you get from that, the confidence you get from that. It's hard to see Al Hilal lose here and just the hype for them stopping. Now, on the other side, you have Fluminense, and then coming into this tournament, I feel like most people would agree with me in saying that Fluminense was definitely the weakest Brazilian team coming into the tournament. I think a lot of people would have co-signed anyone stating that Palmeiras, Botafogo, Flamengo, etc. were better teams than Fluminense at this point of the season. I feel like a lot of people would agree with me there. But they find themselves in a quarterfinal, and they did beat Inter Milan in the round of 16. So, Al Hilal got a huge win. Fluminense just faced off against the Champions League finalists and beat them 2-0, and it was pretty convincingly. Now, was this the full strength Inter we saw for basically the entire season up until that Champions League final? No. It seems that Inter have lost their way. Simone Inzaghi has left. The squad doesn't look cohesive. Players are getting dropped left, right, and center. Çalhanoğlu has just been told he could leave the club. Lautaro is going to the media and calling out his teammates for not wanting it enough. So there is definitely some turmoil in the Inter Milan camp, but don't get it twisted. Fluminense, with the players they have in their team, they got it done. It was an impressive victory. No matter what state Inter Milan are, they were still in the Champions League final. So they came away with a huge win as well. And I bet they're coming in with a lot of confidence. Now, the interesting thing here for me is with Al Hilal, I know I said it's difficult to see them lose. It's difficult to see them lose after such a hyped, historic, amazing game against Manchester City. But you have to also take into account against Manchester City, they were the team sitting back and countering. The game was being brought to Al Hilal, and Inzaghi Pasta basically told them to sit back and counter. That was the Al Hilal game plan. It worked. They cut Man City open. They get 4 goals. Man City gets 3, and they're through. Now, in this game against Fluminense, looking at these two teams now, as a European football fan, I don't know how these two teams play all the time in every single game of their league formats, right? But looking at these two teams, Fluminense, Al Hilal, specifically Al Hilal, who really were on defend, counterattack mode against Man City, I don't think this will be the case where they will just be able to defend, and just counter. I feel like this might be a game where Al Hilal need to take it to Fluminense. And this is where maybe my inexperience with the styles of plays of these teams are. But can Al Hilal take the game to a team and get the same results, score as many goals? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I just am struggling to visualize the dynamics of this game against Fluminense. I'm struggling to visualize, all right, who will be the team that controls most of the possession? Who will be the team that will be looking to counter more? Who will be the team that won't be as aggressive towards getting players up the pitch? I'm having trouble visualizing the dynamic. So I think this is a 50-50 game. I think this is a 50-50 game. But I think, especially with the quality of the players they have in their team, don't forget, I mean, yes, it's Al Hilal, but they have some brilliant players in this team still. Yes, you might call them washed up players from Europe, but Bruno, for me, yes, he went to Saudi from Sevilla. He's still top 5 goal in the world. Koulibaly performed amazingly against Man City last game. Milinkovic, Savic, they beat Man City without Mitrovic, their top goal scorer. So I'm gonna hedge my bets on Al Hilal getting to the semifinal here over Fluminense, which would cast the end of the Brazilian side's little party here at the Club World Cup. Score prediction? This is probably the game. Score prediction. I think I'll go at extra time. I could see extra time here. I'm not gonna lie. I could see like a 2-1 extra time win for Al Hilal. 2-1 in extra time to go to the semifinals against Chelsea. Now, that side is done. We'll see what happens. Hopefully I'm right. Not because I'm preying on the downfall of the Brazilian League, because we like to be right. It boosts the ego. I mean, getting an ego boost is one of the best things that can happen. You feel great. You got that big D energy letting your balls hang around wherever you want. Let's go to the right side of the bracket, the full European side of the bracket. We will do Dortmund versus Real Madrid first. Now, respect to Dortmund. I mean, I really doubted whether they can get past Monterrey. Now, I didn't make a video on it, but I was on the Half Hope Football Hut. Shout out to HH. Gave a little quick take on this game. I wouldn't have been surprised if Monterrey beat Dortmund in the round of 16, but they took the lead in the first half. 2 quick-fire goals by Gurasi, both assisted by Karim Adeyemi. The worrying thing for Dortmund is in that second half, I mean, the amount of chances Monterrey created, the amount of, they had 2 or 3 opportunities where I'm just sitting back and watching the highlights and thinking, how did these guys not score? I mean, even that last opportunity, the Sergio Ramos header in the last minute of the game, might have been Ramos's age and lack of sharpness catching up with him there, but I feel like prime Sergio Ramos scores that header. You know what I mean? Goes right into the top left corner instead of 3 inches to the left of the post. You know what I mean? So Dortmund is an interesting one because they have quality attackers to hurt Real Madrid. They do. And we saw earlier in this tournament that Al Hilal caused Real Madrid problems and probably could have gotten more from that game. Juventus caused problems for Real Madrid. I mean, Juventus probably, if it wasn't for Kolo Muani completely missing the mark with his 1v1 in like the 10th minute or whatever it was, Juventus probably should have went up 1-0 against Real Madrid if Muani wasn't such a brick finisher. So, on face value, you're thinking Real Madrid win this. It's tough. It's tough because, yes, Real Madrid are in the quarterfinal. I haven't necessarily been impressed by Real Madrid. I think that's a fair way to put it. Like, yes, I do believe Xabi Alonso will end up getting a lot more out of this Real Madrid team as he gets more time in this Madrid team next season after Xabi Alonso has had a whole preseason and built more with the squad. I'm sure this Real Madrid team will be scary, but they just haven't looked scary enough at this tournament for me to just come here and disrespect Dortmund and say, oh, Real Madrid are easily going through. So I do think this isn't going to be a wash. I don't think this is going to be a wash. I think Dortmund here, if they're smart, don't try to take the game to Real Madrid. Knowing them and their DNA, Dortmund probably will try to take the game to Real Madrid. Niko Kovac at the helm. My brain and my heart is telling me Real Madrid. And this isn't a case where I think it's just, oh, easily Real Madrid, they will never lose to Dortmund. I just think what I saw from that Dortmund defense in the Monterrey game, if you're taking just the Dortmund performance in the first half and comparing it to Real Madrid's performance against Juventus, you're thinking that, okay, Dortmund can actually come away with something here. Like, this is a pretty close game, or at least more close than some people might think. But after seeing that second half and how Monterrey was just piling the pressure on them, I have to go Real Madrid here because they haven't showed that much weakness in the tournament yet, in my opinion. Yeah, I'll go Real Madrid. And if I'm going to give a score prediction, I know I said this wouldn't be a wash, but I feel like with Dortmund, you're either going to wash them. I'll go like 2-0 Real Madrid against Dortmund. 2-0 Real Madrid into the semifinals. And finally, probably the biggest game of the quarterfinal ties here, PSG versus Bayern. Now, face value, I think a lot of people are saying PSG. I mean, how can you bet against PSG? Even I, as a Bayern fan, have a difficult time. I have a difficult time going into this game with a huge amount of confidence. I'm not going into the game with no confidence. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going into the game with no confidence, but it is PSG. They're the treble winners. You might have thought after the Botafogo loss that these guys probably didn't care about the tournament and they would go kind of into a little rut and get knocked out of the tournament. They aren't. They bounce back. 2-0 against the Sounders in the third group game, and then a 4-0 washing of Inter Miami, public execution in that first half. But on the other side, I feel like Bayern, they've played the tougher competition so far at this tournament. I do think they've played the tougher competition in all 4 games so far. Now, yes, Bayern hasn't played someone of the quality of Atletico Madrid, and PSG absolutely mopped the floor with Atletico Madrid on the opening day of the group. I was at the game in person. They completely outclassed Atleti. But since then, with Botafogo, Inter Miami, Seattle Sounders, that's not as strong of a lineup as, obviously Bayern had their Mickey Mouse game in the first game, beating Auckland 10-0. But then a Boca Juniors team, yes, it's not peak Boca Juniors, but playing Boca Juniors in a very hostile environment, very intense game, then playing Benfica in a pretty intense game as well, and getting pretty unlucky because of a certain Leroy Sané who wasn't putting away his putting away his chances, and then playing probably the best Brazilian team at the tournament in the round of 16 and winning 4-2 against Flamengo. I feel like Bayern has been tested a little more at this tournament so far. So I genuinely think this is a 50-50 game now. Earlier in the season, this is one of those teams PSG lost to in the league phase. Bayern beat them in the Allianz Arena 1-0. And, I can sit here and comfortably say that, yes, the scoreline was tight, but that game wasn't really a competition. I felt like Bayern always had control of that match, barring like maybe a chance from João Neves, a really good shot from outside the box. Bayern was in total control, but obviously we know PSG have grown into a different monster, eventually becoming the first Liga and Champions League winners since Marseille and becoming a treble-winning team. I think this is a 50-50. For PSG, they're not missing anyone due to injury, if I'm not mistaken. And for Bayern, the only notable injury for them is Alphonso Davies. Now, concurrently, I do believe Alphonso Davies is probably the most important player and was a huge part of the success Bayern had against PSG in the Champions League earlier this season, back in like November. So he won't be there. But outside of that, everyone is there for Bayern. The only person they've also lost was Leroy Sané. His contract ended on June 30th, and he went and fucked off to Galatasaray. He went on a plane to Istanbul, and I was very happy about that. So PSG Bayern, you're looking at it's going to be 2 full-strength lineups, basically. You're looking at Bayern pulling up with Neuer, who's having a good tournament, Leimer, Ta, Upamecano, Stanisic at left back. It might be a Pavlovic Kimmich midfield, Kimmich Goretzka midfield, and then you got Harry Kane, Olise, Coman, and then maybe Gnabry or Muller in the Musiala in the 10. So honestly, guys, I'm gonna back Bayern. I'm gonna back Bayern because I feel like they also have a big point to prove here. They have a big point to prove that, hey, we have improved a lot. We brought in Jonathan Tah. We want to make a statement victory here and show Europe really that next year in the Champions League, we're not coming to mess around. We're coming to play. I think Bayern can get the win here. Genuinely, is that me being a little biased? Maybe, but I am not writing people. I'm not writing Bayern off nearly as much as everyone else is writing them off. I think this is going to be a very close game. Styles make fights, and although PSG have been able to dominate in midfield a lot against a lot of other top European sides, the way Bayern set up the high line they like to play, yes, they can catch Bayern out, but it makes it a lot harder to have control in the midfield. So I'm going to go with a Bayern win, make things a little spicy, and I genuinely think Bayern has a chance there. Score prediction, bro, this might be, if Bayern were to win, maybe on penalties, like 1-1 or 2-2, and then they go to penalties and beat PSG on penalties. That's kind of where my heart is at. So I'm picking Bayern over PSG to get to the semifinal, which would leave us with a Chelsea Al Hilal semifinal and a Bayern Real Madrid semifinal. I'll just quickly go ahead and choose right now who I think would win these games. I think, again, this would be the end of Al Hilal's road. Or, this would be a game where Al Hilal can do something. Because I was about to say this is where I think Al Hilal's road comes to the end, but this is going to be a very similar game to the Manchester City game. And this is a Chelsea team who don't nearly have the same amount of quality as Manchester City in attack. So Chelsea Al Hilal with Simone Inzaghi Pizza at the helm, that's an interesting tie. I don't know who wins that. I honestly don't. And you know what? Maybe I'll just end it here. I won't go ahead and do a full prediction of the tournament because if I end up being wrong, then I come back and I have to do another prediction. Whatever. Those are the quarterfinal predictions. And as for Chelsea, Al Hilal, Real Madrid, Bayern, these would be two very good games that I would fully welcome. Even if PSG get through, PSG, Real Madrid, that's a big boy game right there. I'm down for that. Fluminense, Chelsea, or Palmeries, Al Hilal. Like anyone who gets through here, you're getting a good semifinal. So that's it. That's the quarterfinals predictions. Let me know if you agree in the comments. And yeah, good luck to the teams. Mia San, Mia to Bayern. We got this. Don't be scared of PSG. We are never scared of anyone. We go into every game thinking we're the favorites because that's how big clubs operate. It's been your boy Hokage Puya. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.